to be honest, I don't feel the best about inviting you guys on our Godzilla podcast. Hey, we're going to talk about Godzilla, Podzilla, and then just give you this random sci-fi movie when people come from space to mate with Earth's woman. But there we go.
I am curious how this like fits in the Godzilla canon. Like, is this canon? Is this in the same universe?
As much as Godzilla movies can be, I guess. It's very much, hey, this monster shows up again, or this thing's slightly mentioned.
What's happening in that world where just every other week there's just a new big monster that's just like knocking down buildings and stuff?
It sounds like a nightmare. I would leave.
The charm would just wear off after a while, and you'd be like, "Oh, there's another."
You get used to it.
10-story monster.
Especially when they all like come from the same thing. Like every other movie is like, "Oh, this thing's created from a nuclear threat," or "This one's a giant robot." It's very much like,
it's like, Susan, they've come here again from the nuclear plant again. I don't know what's going on. We should probably shut that down. To be honest,
we should stop using nuclear energy.
I know.
We should learn our lesson.
I just don't understand it. They're just coming out of nowhere, just in exactly the same spot and from the skies and in space.
They've oversaturated the kaiju market now. The price on kaiju has significantly gone down.
Welcome back, everyone, to Podzilla. Hope you're all doing well. We are currently in lockdown here in New Zealand, me and Micah. So this is the first episode we've done remotely, which is interesting.
And that's not only the new thing. We have a few guests for the first time in forever, really.
Yeah, welcome to Alex Knox and Adam Baston from the Final Draft podcast.
Woohoo!
Hello.
Round of applause.
I'm so glad you got my last name right.
Is that
was amazing.
It is
Baston?
Yeah. Sort of. Cool. How have you guys been?
We've been all right.
Yeah, not bad, yeah.
You know, we're out here in the UK. The Final Draft is going strong. God has been trying to strike us down, but apart from that, it's all good. But we're very excited to be here. Thanks for having us on. Excited to talk about this loosely inspired Godzilla movie.
Yeah, great one to have first guests on.
We were going to ask you guys as well, what has been your history with Godzilla in the past already?
Ooh.
Yeah, like this isn't your first like Godzilla movie, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about Adam, but for me personally, like, I'm not super like in the trenches with all of the Godzilla spin-offs and stuff, but I love that original movie. I've always loved the like allegorical nature of Godzilla. Just what it represents and the metaphor that is Godzilla, and you know the things that go into it. And I think there is some interesting stuff in this movie in particular in that regard. But also just kaijus are awesome. Like kaijus are so fun.
Heck yeah.
We're seeing like more of it now. Like recently we just had like the Suicide Squad, and there's like a big kind of like kaiju reference in that, and they like use the word kaiju. So I'm glad that it's like permeating the pop culture a bit more.
Yeah.
And obviously we've got like this kind of modern Godzilla take. And I just find it fascinating how like ethereal like Godzilla is, like how it just seems to keep going, and there's this fascination with like that it has to always be around, and same with stuff like King Kong and stuff like it's truly like iconic movie monster stuff, but it's not like necessarily like horror, and it's such an interesting little genre.
It's that interesting space, that it's like, yeah, you're completely right, not quite horror, kind of like fantasy sci-fi, but it's its own thing.
I think Godzilla is most the longest running movie franchise as well.
It's just insane.
It's been so long, 33 official movies with just Godzilla in, I'm pretty sure.
33, flip. And I guess the only other thing to kind of relate to it's probably like Universal Monsters, right? Like the Wolfmen, Frankenstein, that was like 1930s.
Sure. But it's weird because I feel like they haven't taken off in the same way that Godzilla has. Like Godzilla just has this different cultural capital with people, even in the West. Like, it's just such a household thing. Whereas like things like Dracula and Wolfman and stuff like that, like that's more loosely inspired by like just wider thing, like literary references and like cultural understandings. But Godzilla is this thing that has like carved itself out of its own little origin. It's really fascinating how it's just taken a massive grab on people, and people just can't get enough of it. Like,
I know, and it's so interesting that it's become as big as big as it is, and a lot more popular than other things, especially in the Western world, when it is something that started off from Japan, something completely foreign, something that us, I guess, in the Western world or America didn't even know about until a lot later than it did get created. It's crazy.
That's what's so fascinating to me, is how kind of like important it is within that culture. I've only recently kind of like learned about the nature of like Gundams and stuff as well. Like, you know, these kind of like these icons of pop culture within that culture are so important, and have been referenced so many times. Like the fact that you said that there was like over 30 movies that Godzilla has been is insane. Like, what other IP has that kind of prominence? You don't often see it within film. Like, you can see it in repetition of things like video games and stuff. Like, you know, how many Mario games have there been, for example? But for something like that to be featured within that many films, it's crazy.
Totally.
Yeah, it's like a weird kind of precursor as well to where we're at with like blockbuster films, where we have these like massive franchises that span. And that used to be such like that was like more of a rare thing to happen. That like you'd get like 9 deep into a franchise. And like I'm not like a massive Godzilla nerd, so I don't know like how when you get into like, you know, the 15th like kaiju movie, like how true is it to the original vision? But you know, it's interesting to see just that longevity, and yeah, it is super cool. And like I'm glad that, you know, Godzilla's still around, because I do think Godzilla's like just in that toy brain level. Godzilla's so cool. It's so cool. Iconic. The roar, like the whole design of Godzilla, like it's truly inspired stuff, which is why like I have such an affinity for it.
Oh, that's awesome! I'm so glad we got you guys on the podcast to talk about it. It's gonna be cool. Adam, have you seen many Godzilla movies yourself?
Yeah, so no, this is kind of really fresh for me. To be honest, I've seen the remake that was made in 2016 or something like that.
I don't think it's a reboot,
Cranston.
Is it?
I don't know.
It's kind of like the American. There's a 2014 one. There's also the 1998.
That's the one. It started off with like this whole kind of sequel of the Kong films, and then them collaborating in a very similar structure to what we're kind of used to nowadays with blockbusters, as Alex mentioned. But I watched those, and you know, I understood at the time just conceptually how important Godzilla as kind of like an icon of pop culture was. But I didn't really like that film. It was kind of it felt a bit kind of empty from what I'd already heard about how kind of pivotal that was. It felt very kind of Americanized, and that perhaps the soul of it, or the importance of it, originally kind of wasn't really represented very well. And obviously I also watched King of Monsters, I think, which again introduced some more characters that I, you know, expanded my knowledge to lore that I didn't even realize. You know, it's not just Godzilla, it's all these other mythical creatures and the things, you know, which I thought was really cool. It was, again, like Alex said, like the toy brain nature was like, oh my god, that dragon has 3 heads. Yeah. That's sick. You know, it is really simple in that regard. But I kind of am so fascinated with how much deeper does this go. But yeah, it's all very kind of new to me.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. I mean, Micah is kind of in this weird space that he grew up with older ones, but he hadn't seen any of the American remakes or any of the newer stuff.
Ooh.
The only new one I've seen is King Kong. I've not even intentionally stayed away from the newer Godzilla movies. I just haven't gotten around to it. And now that we're doing this, I kind of want to try wait as long as possible to, you know, like, I hope I don't get like tweeted at for this, but I still don't know who wins between Godzilla and Kong in the new movie. And I hope I don't find out.
Yeah. I have an idea, but you know, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's going to be cool having this discussion with all of us. I guess watch different things, or are completely new to it or not. But again, Godzilla's not in this movie. We're watching the Mysterians from 1957.
Yeah, what a hell of a ride.
Yeah, directed by Ishiro Honda. So Ishiro Honda, he's directed a few ones we've watched already. He directed the original Godzilla movie. And then he did Half Human, which was a movie about the Yeti or Bigfoot. And this, I guess he did Rodan before this as well, didn't he, Micah?
Yeah.
And so this is the 4th one we're watching that Ishiro Honda's done. But he's very prolific in, I guess, Japanese cinema, monster movies, especially the Godzilla franchise. I think he's probably going to be the director we're covering the most. But yeah, we watched the Mysterians. And something I usually do is I get Micah to kind of recount what happened in the movie, trying to talk about the plot. But I was wondering if you guys maybe wanted to give it a shot this time.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, here's what you need to know.
Yep.
Here we go.
We're in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important.
Sun's
There's like a
shining.
festival going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some friend. I don't know their friend. I've never clear if they were friends or relatives or siblings.
Welcome
Maybe
to
a bit of
Godzilla.
everything.
Yeah.
That's not to think about it, to be honest.
There's a group hanging out. Big fire happens. Big fire. Guy goes to check out. Can't remember his name. It's not that important.
Names are not important.
then-
You don't remember them.
No. And he just kind of like goes out to see the fire, but he's not actually going to do anything about it. Anyway, it turns out there's been like a massive landslide in that area. Am I correct? So some scientist dudes turn up the next day, and it turns out there's a lot of radiation in the area, so they're a bit worried about that. But then when they turn up, all the radiation's gone, and they're like, "Oh, this is weird." Like, you know, there's this big landslide and there's radiation. Well, you know, what's going on? Anyway, then a big robot turns up. He's just there, you know, and they start shooting at him, and he starts shooting back really bad. Turns out there's this whole plot about these aliens who live on Mars, but they're from another planet, and they basically want to inhabit 3 kilometers of space on the Earth. And take Earth's women so that they can mate with them and repopulate their population. And the Japanese government and the scientists, etc., are not on board with that.
Fair enough.
And then chaos kind of
Not
ensues
keen.
from there, and it seems like a fight they're not going to win.
Yeah.
And there's some kind of back and forth thing between the Mysterians and the army and the scientists, and then eventually they just kind of figure out how to beat them. Is the best way I could describe it.
Yeah, that's spot on.
And then it turns out that guy from the beginning, he was working with him, and you think he's working with them and he's a bad guy now, but actually he realizes, oh, these alien guys are actually quite bad, so I'm going to turn on them. And then they blow him up and it's fine. I think that's basically the plot.
That's it, man. That's
a good rundown.
Yeah, it is. That was perfect. It is a bit of like a weird story this time around because it is like slow drama back and forth, as you were saying. But then we have this one random kaiju destruction scene.
Yeah,
it's just very, very oddly paced.
And it's where like with that kaiju element, it is literally just that. Like there is a big robot that is like a kaiju.
It's not even named.
And he's there for a bit. No, we don't get a name
He just
for him.
goes.
And then he's just never there again, and it's like, okay, I guess this is a kaiju movie. And then the rest of it is flying saucers and a big egg.
Yeah,
I thought they were going to be inside it. That was like their mode of transport, which would be pretty sick.
Yeah,
you know, they're so advanced that they don't own Teslas or any other form of car. They're like, nah, we travel around in a big robot.
There's also that second one that pops up, hey? The second one that just gets instantly destroyed when you think it might be another kaiju battle.
Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Nah, you didn't do a good job.
Literally for like 5 seconds, and then he's gone.
Mikey, did you have the casting crew or the characters' names that I cannot remember a single one of?
I do. Now, I've kind of gotten used to this. We've been conditioned now to kind of understand and remember these characters' names. When you start out, they just all jumble into one. I don't blame you for not remembering them.
Well, there's a lot of characters too.
Yeah.
And like, it's never truly clear like who exactly. Like, there's kind of one main guy that we follow, but there's a lot of like kind of people who you'd think would be important, but then they're just kind of there. Like,
There are important people who get abducted once and then don't say anything for the rest of the film.
yeah,
Scarred for life, probably.
But no, so our protagonists in this movie, we have Kenji Sahara as Joji Atsumi. We have seen him in a few previous movies. He was in Rodan as the main protagonist of that. And I just realized recently he was also in the original Godzilla movie as an extra. So he has been in
we didn't
another
even
one
pick
before
up on him.
as Lover on the Sound on one of the boats there.
Oh.
Ooh, Lover on the Sound.
So he's seen some stuff in his time.
Oh,
Yeah, man.
he's been like at all of the
Technically.
major kaiju pinpoints so far. We have Akihiko Hirata as Ryoichi Shiraishi. He was the dude who got abducted by the aliens first. You'd remember him as the
Poor guy.
Doctor of Paleontology from Rodan, Kashiwagi, and in the original Godzilla as Dr. Serizawa, the eye patch guy.
Yeah. So did he get abducted? It was more like
Well, he was in that fire at the start,
and
you see him about to get burned.
It's implied that he died in the fire, but then you realise that he's working with the baddies.
I wonder if it's supposed to be a huge reveal.
What a twist.
I think it is, but the problem is that the film kind of forgets. It's almost like the film forgets about it and expects you to keep up with it.
Yeah.
So when he's back, you're like, oh,
this guy,
you again.
Hello.
We have Momoko Kochi as Hiroko Iwamoto, and Yumi Shirakawa as Itsuko Shiraishi. They're basically just the, I guess, lead females in this movie, although they don't have too many lines.
That's very generous.
Yeah, they're the lead actresses in like each of these Godzilla movies, right? Like
so far they've been, Momoko Kochi has been in Godzilla as the main female lead in that, and as Half Human has the main female lead. And Yumi Shirakawa has been in Rodan as the main female lead. So they're used to Godzilla as well. This is kind of like a grab bag of all of the actors you've seen before.
Yeah.
And finally, we also have Takashi Shimura as Dr. Kinjiro Adachi, who was Dr. Yamano in the original Godzilla as well. But this time, without a mustache.
Yeah, true. Didn't have that iconic mustache. And he was one of the crew that are let inside to come and have a look and kind of sit down and talk with them. And
he's a doctor, part of the government that's having to figure out what the heck you do when aliens come to Earth and decide to take your woman. It's
pretty funny that the Mysterians just like, hey, you five right there, you're the ones who are gonna, the fate of the world's in your hands.
The best of the best.
Yeah. Yeah, and on top of them, I guess we only got one monster or kaiju this time round, and it was the giant mole-like robot called Moguera. So it did have a name, although it's not mentioned. And Moguera's a giant robot that resembles a mole mixed with a giant lizard. He has a drill for a nose, large cone-shaped hands, and has spikes on its back. And he also has a tail, which was interesting to see. It was a weird design.
I kind of dug it though. I kind of liked him. Yeah, because he had little antennas too. It's just like not very clear what he was meant to be, but he looks sick. I kind of liked him.
Yeah, the classic 50s, like it very much brought me back to like classic Doctor Who or Star Trek. And the whole movie did really. It just felt like that era of fun sci-fi stuff.
I wrote that down. I specifically remember an American version of like the Doctor Who movie, but it was like technically not canon. But this thing just screamed at me as it just reminded me of that movie and that era of films. Most likely because of the way it was probably presented, because it's obviously the copies of this is quite hard to come by and not that great. But it really did make me feel like, I think it's the practical elements as well, like the way that they did all the effects for it as well. It felt very much like that kind of era of a film.
All the miniatures and destruction.
Yeah,
the miniatures were great though.
Yeah, they always are. It's a highlight of the movies, really, is all the miniature destruction. You get to some of the like computer generated effects, like the lasers, and I guess some of those don't look as great.
I just want to say, like, that was something that was really impressing me with this one, was that I felt that the managing of the effects was actually quite impressive. Because it's hard with this kind of stuff, because it's like, obviously we're looking back at it like many, many years later, and we've seen the crazy things CGI can do, so like some of this stuff isn't just as impressive inherently because of that. But I was noticing ways that they were incorporating miniatures and using plates and stuff and really constructing shots in an interesting way to just make the images compelling. There's a scene where I think Big Robot is going around and you get cut, there's like a fire going on and there's fire hoses and like you're cutting to actual with people shooting a fire hose, and then when it's the obviously someone in a costume, but they've got little fire hoses squirting out, and that was just a really clever way of like grounding the visual effects. And I actually felt like a lot of the shots in this like looked quite good. Like there's a scene where they're going to that where the 5 scientists are going to like their little base, the Big Egg.
Yeah.
And like it's just this kind of like wide shot, and it's very like symmetrical, and the egg is like very center stage, and I was like, that looks really good. Like that's like a very nicely composed shot, which I wasn't expecting from this stuff. Because sometimes like we've all, and I'm sure like you'll cover this more as you go on with like some of the deeper Godzilla films, but like some of the I guess, passion for like the visual effects. Like,
totally.
Gets a bit lost the deeper you go on. I think of like, I can't remember which one it's in, but like I think it's Godzilla vs Kong, where like Godzilla does like, you know, the double kick and he just takes along. And it's like, okay, we're in a different realm right here. And from like the just bit of research I've done about this film, like I understand that that was a big driving point for this film, that they wanted to push the effects more. And I can't remember who he worked with, but a director like worked specifically with someone to like try and push the sense of scale and in terms of the visual effects and like the story itself, and the story kind of deviating from the traditional kind of I guess kaiju formula that they have so far, and being more of a kind of hardcore science fiction story. I was just really impressed by the sense of like ambition and scope in the visuals, although they look a little silly, obviously.
It's the 50s, you know. It's
but for something from the late 50s, like I was like, damn, that's solid. Really good. That's really solid.
I'm glad you picked up on it, because that's the ones we've watched so far. The miniatures and just the creativity used to kind of switch between that and real life is something that's really stuck out to us. Like it's really cool to watch. These days, I guess watching the newer Godzillas or newer kaiju flicks in general, I think it loses that I don't know, sometimes you're just watching two monsters fight, completely CGI'd buildings, everything. The monsters themselves are CGI'd. And it does kind of feel special watching something like this when you know a lot of, I don't know, creativity's been put into figuring out how to film it.
Yeah.
A lot of planning, a lot of effort.
Looks cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that like this is one of the first ones that they shot in colour as well?
Yeah, it's the second one overall that shot in colour.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
That brings a whole different medium to it.
Yeah.
Especially with the Mysterians, the aliens who come along in their Power Ranger outfits.
Yeah, they're like the Teletubbies of Space in the Big Egg. It's fantastic.
It's the best way to put it, yeah.
Yeah, it's I guess obviously it did add a lot in that regard. It's strange as well because obviously at the time, we discussed this a bit when we covered the Russian film that we covered.
Stalker?
Stalker, yeah. At the time, like actually filming on film negatives, there were like different versions of it in different countries, so like the US and Russia and like places like Japan, they all use different film negatives, so they've all actually got a different kind of color palette anyway, just from the negatives. So it was quite a vibrant film, given that it was a weird time for that anyway, which was, you know, really surprised me. But the specific details on all of the miniatures, like all the landscapes and that, really impressed me. It kind of like cut away to a wide, and it was so seamless that you didn't really realize that it was a miniature, and then you'd obviously kind of gauge it because you'd have some larger prop involved, or a car would literally just be it would be a toy, and you could tell. But the fluidity of like kind of like the sinkholes and landslides that they did, all the detail in the earth and the soil and stuff was just so impressive, and you could tell that there was so much time and effort that was gone into the scale of those things.
Yeah, it's just really, really cool stuff. And I guess totally what you were saying as well, Alex, just you don't expect watching things like this to actually look as good as they do sometimes. Like,
sure. Yeah,
it's just, you can tell that Shiro Honda, especially, it kind of brought me back to the first Godzilla a little bit, just how he decides to film some things or set them up. And they do look good. Like some of the shots look great. And this time with color to kind of add on to that, it was a very nice movie to look at. Even though our copy we got online somewhere wasn't the best quality to begin with.
No, yeah, but like you can feel that they're trying to push this sense of like scope, like because it's kind of a trope of these kaiju films that like a lot of the battles and stuff take place in like nature and like empty fields and stuff. Like that's kind of a trope, but like you get a sense of like them really building these environments with use of like miniatures and plates combined and that kind of stuff. And you think about like the effort that would have took back in the day to like create these visual effects. Like it's very impressive, the artistry put into that. And you feel that they're kind of trying to expand the scope of the action as well, because we have kind of in like the climax of this film, like there's dogfights and planes and all this kind of stuff, and like you can feel this sense of like they're trying to really push themselves creatively in terms of what they can do on the silver screen.
I mean, one of the shots that I remember from the movie was when Moguera first appeared, and you've got one of the characters taking a bath, and they kind of see it out the window, and he's kind of like behind the trees, and it's just sort of really some real cool shots. And again, I think just the sequence when later on the same character, I need to remember their names, was it Itsuko? She's abducted by the Mysterians, and it's just, it looks cool. It very much, again, just made me very happy being a fan and growing up on like Thunderbirds, Star Trek.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
No, it's completely true. I remember like all the miniatures that were used in Thunderbirds and stuff.
Yeah.
You throw me back, really. Yeah, wow. That was a completely different medium, I suppose, because it was a different form of puppetry as well. But they kind of like blended the live action elements of what would be used in that form of like puppetry and animation very seamlessly. I think that's what I found most impressive, at least.
Yeah, totally. I do as well have a little recording of the sound that Moguera makes. I guess it's not your typical roar, but it is, I guess, a beeping noise. So here you go. And yeah, that's Moguera. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, it was interesting, like, because it is very loosely a kaiju movie, so obviously kaiju does appear.
100%.
And I was noticing how it has like the tropes of the kaiju thing. So like he has his unique sound, and it's this kind of like technical kind of beepy sound that I did find very distinct, actually.
It's not what you'd think when you usually heard like a kaiju roar, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And the way like you'd have characters, and I guess you would have this with a normal roar, but it felt very different, where you'd have the characters kind of reacting to just hearing it, and it like being off screen, but you hear the sound. I thought that was a very clever use of like giving the creature, or whatever we're calling it, like presence.
Especially when it's a robot. It gives a lot of fear associated with it.
And that must be very different as well. And I guess it being a robot is an enforcement of like what the themes of the film and like what it's trying to go for in terms of what it's trying to say.
Yeah.
Because the film is kind of like kind of skeptical of technology, kind of narrative, I suppose.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was reading up, and apparently to begin with it was supposed to be more of a living organism, or it was supposed to be like a dinosaur-like mole creature before. I'm not too sure why they decided on going with the mecha design in the end, or the big robot, but I kind of dug it. It's very unique. Like, you don't really see things like this. I guess you probably would, again, with the Micah reference Power Rangers and stuff similar to that, and like Ultraman and other stuff. But for, I guess, the Ishiro Honda's movies so far, and for the loose Godzilla canon, as I guess we're calling it, it's very unique. It was a cool design.
Yeah, I thought it was sick. I thought he looked so cool.
Yeah.
I don't know, I really dug it.
Yeah.
I loved his little antennas, man.
Yeah, it's good. It's great. And he did have like a tail and some spikes, which I think they tried to hide during some of the editing process to try and like make it more robot than lizard, but it kind of does follow. It has a Godzilla-like tail, which you see at some points, which is kind of cool. Just makes it more unique.
I've got a picture of him up on my screen right now, and he's literally got like a saw blade for a back spikes. It looks really cool.
Yeah, his name was Moguera, and he does return. So he's back in Godzilla versus Space Godzilla, which we'll be watching down the track. But he does show up in a proper Godzilla movie, and I don't think it's like the same type or from Mysterians. I think it's more of a new creation, or something that the Earth creates themselves. But it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
So do they completely almost retcon the Mysterians themselves, the aliens? Because I don't think they come back.
No, Mysterians don't return in any proper Godzilla films. They do. This movie does have a sequel called Battle in Outer Space.
Oh, true. I thought there wasn't a sequel.
Nah, it's just, well, it's like a loose sequel. So I think some of the human characters continue on, but they've all been recast. So it's the same characters, but different actors. And then it doesn't have the Mysterians. There's some other type of alien. So it's a sequel.
It's a shame they didn't vibe with the idea of coming back as the characters.
I know. Yeah, it would have been good.
Whatever.
The Mysterians do return as well as Moguera in Godzilla Land, or a few shows for kids coming up.
That's like the little puppet show, isn't it?
Yeah, it's little like stop motion puppets, but they're also, I don't know if you guys have heard of Godzilla Singular Point. It's the latest like Netflix animated series of Godzilla.
Nope.
But they show up in that, or they're mentioned in that apparently, the Mysterians. So yeah, it seems like they're very much. I was reading a bit into it, and apparently they're like one of Toho's most well-known alien races. Or you go to Toho and it's the Mysterians, and I think the Exilians would show up at some point again. But it's so interesting that they've only been in like one proper movie, and they're quite well known.
Did this movie do well?
I believe it did, right?
Yeah.
I believe this was quite successful. Like this was quite
That
popular.
makes it even better.
Sweet.
Yeah, I know.
I love that.
Yeah, did anyone have any other thoughts on it? Or Micah, what did you think of it overall?
I did like how, as a, obviously this is the first real science or sci-fi movie they've done in the Godzilla universe so far.
Yeah.
Sure.
And like you said, Alex, especially with Moguera in it as kind of this unfeeling monster, as opposed to the organic monsters we've seen before. It really does fit the themes of this almost force that you can't stop, or it doesn't seem to react. And I did think the whole storyline of fighting these Mysterians, these aliens, and I think the story was that they got infected with some, I don't know, chromium, strontium-69 or disease or something.
Yeah, I think it was a result of like nuclear bombing or something on their planet, right?
Was it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, like
it was something about they used to live on their planet, but then there was a big war, so now they all live on Mars, and they're all kind of irradiated, and something like only 8% of the population become deformed or something like that.
I swear, radiation has been mentioned in all of these movies so far.
I know.
It's not good stuff, is it? You should probably get rid of it.
I wanted to mention that aspect of the story, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, if you're talking about, like, Godzilla is very famously, like, a parable about the, like...
Hiroshima and hydrogen. And,
yeah, exactly. So the second they started mentioning, like, radiation in this and all that kind of stuff, I'm like, okay, well, for a Japanese audience, this means something deeper than what it would in like the West.
Yeah.
So I'm watching the whole film and I'm thinking like, okay, what do like the Mysterians represent, right?
Yeah.
They're this foreign entity that just appears and they claim to be peaceful.
They're really not.
They're clearly not, and they're giving them a raw deal where they're going, yeah, like, you have to comply or we're so strong and we'll just blow you up, so, like, you kind of have to.
Yeah, it's so funny how it, like, escalates from, give us this land, let us keep our base. Oh, yeah, and we'll take your woman. We've already got some of them.
We're going to take all your women.
And they're clearly liars as well. Yeah. Like, I found that interesting that, like, they start with 3 kilometers and then they say, we've taken 15, and then they say, we don't want 5 women, but then when they go to the base, there's, like, 30 in there.
Yeah, shoot.
So clearly they're not to be trusted, right? So I'm thinking, what do they represent? And I was kind of just like reading about this film, like people's kind of general interpretations of like what they were going for with this, and I found it interesting because it seems like Honda wanted it to be kind of skeptical of the progression of like science and weaponry and the military and that kind of stuff, but then also the film features like they team up with like the Americans and stuff
to
like
use weaponry and
and I find it weird that like in a narrative that is clearly about like these foreign invaders who are forcing Japan against their will to comply with them. In that same narrative, you have the Americans are allies and are your friends and are who you should work with. But apparently, like Honda was very adamant about it being like having that sense of unity in like the narrative and being about like world peace and like people coming together. I just found that very interesting. Like there seems to be this conflict of ideas because like if you think about like the history of like America's involvement with Japan and stuff and the way like kind of American culture has been introduced into that society. But then with this film where they're like, well, actually, it's really good that we're working with the Americans and we shouldn't really think about it. Like, I just found that really, I found that really interesting. And I don't know if it's like a lack of self-awareness or if like Honda is just kind of saying that, no, it's about, we all work together and there's a bigger threat to work against. I don't know.
I wonder if it is a bit more like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You know, after all that's happened, especially with Hiroshima back in the day, now it's gone to this point where he's really wanting to move progress forward. And he's like, there are these forces that, you know, are going to be there in the background, but it's still worth it to come together, and it will be better if we do.
It's an interesting perspective for him specifically because I believe he did serve in the war too, right?
Wow, I didn't know that, but that's
let me fact check that real quick.
Fact checked me. I want to say, or someone they worked with on the production was like was served in the war and like had seen like a lot of like really intense stuff out during that time. But I just found it in general like a very interesting take that like the Americans are like the good guys and they're our friends and they help us out and like it's really good and we all work together. And apparently that was very much the intention as well. But then you clearly have the baddies in this seem very clearly to me like an allegory for America and the way they, the crimes they committed against Japan in the Second World War and stuff. I found it very interesting looking at it from that angle and considering that is baked into the DNA of these Godzilla films with Hiroshima and stuff.
And I will say he did actually serve in the Imperial Japanese Army at 23 years old.
Right.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Right.
No, that's a Podzilla first, Alex, doing more research than us. That's crazy to know. It does bring a lot of perspective to it. Yeah. And I was with you there because I was thinking the exact same thing when, Honda does it all the time. In the original Godzilla and Rodan as well, it was the story about the threat of hydrogen bombing and nuclear war almost. And Half Human, which we watched, which we did, is very much a story about like taking care of the environment and just being good people to the world that we're on. And this very much at the end, it did seem like a message of like unity and peace, everyone coming together. I think a quote from the end of it was, "We must reject evil and embrace love. Earth must not repeat the Mysterians' mistakes." Then very much so, I was with you as well when I'm watching. It's like, these Mysterians must be something else. Like all the threats in the movie so far have, I guess, kind of supposed to be something in our world. And it was interesting to see those kind of conflicting ideas. But it's interesting as well that he didn't really talk about it.
Yeah, I do see it though as like as a pro-environmental piece of like media as well. Like
totally,
because the whole Mysterian backstory is that they've had some kind of horrific war off screen, and that like their technology was kind of their downfall, and it's wider even in the situation that they're in the first place. So it being kind of a kind of warning kind of tale, I suppose, about like the downfalls of science and the progression of technology and stuff.
This is what could happen to us.
Yeah, and they I think they say in the film as well, like the Mysterians say like the human race has like 20 years until you destroy yourselves. So I do see it in that lens, but then when I think about like the wider politics of the film, I'm like, it's an interesting perspective, and I'm not sure if I would even say it's muddled. I just find it interesting that like from like someone who has experienced war and from Japanese culture specifically would have that kind of perspective on these kind of themes and ideas.
There's a lot of juxtaposition within it, isn't there?
Yeah.
Well, Jaysha, something that we usually do as well is Jaysha goes and does his little search around the internet and finds out quite a bit of trivia about this movie.
Yeah, so I've got a few little bits of trivia about the Mysterians. First one was that shortly before his death in 1993, Honda actually came out and said that this was his favorite of all his films he'd made, which is pretty cool. And it's interesting that to him, I guess he loved this a lot more than Godzilla, even though it's his most popular.
I know, that's really interesting.
And as well, I think Martin Scorsese, famed director, has expressed admiration for the imagination used in this film, and he actually wrote about it in the foreword to Honda's biography.
Wow,
Scorsese.
Yeah, I know. Like people love this movie.
I always thought that this movie was like a real deep dive into Japanese culture and all that.
I still think it kind of is. Like I'm just looking on like IMDb and the likes of Letterboxd and stuff. It is not many people have seen it.
Yeah. I don't think this got like I don't think this found an audience in the West in the same way that Godzilla did in some other kind of Japanese cinema. Like I don't think it really became like a cult hit with people, unfortunately.
The Moguera suit, originally worn by Haruo Nakajima, who was Godzilla in the first Godzilla movie. He's also been a few of the kaiju we've seen since. It was kept in storage at one of Toho's visual effects sound stages, and then it was destroyed in a fire caused by a pyrotechnical accident during the filming of another movie. So this suit's been lost to time. Moguera.
Finally defeated.
Yeah.
All you needed was a pyromaniac. What is this the same suit they used for the future appearances?
No, yeah. So it's completely redesigned when we'll see him pop up later on.
Probably because of that, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and still keeps the kind of mole kind of look. I think he has drills on his arms instead of just spiky arms this time around.
Yeah.
So be just to see what he evolves into.
That's cool.
It's pretty cool, eh? It's so unique. I haven't seen anything else like what Moguera looks like. But he was supposed to be a reptilian mole-like kaiju, but he was changed mid-production into the mole-like mecha. They decided to do that because they wanted to differentiate it from all the other reptilian kaiju that Toho was making and the rest of the world was making, and it was a very big thing to kind of make giant lizards. So they decided to switch it up a bit. The last little bit of trivia I have is that it did create a little bit of buzz, and I think it did have a smaller American release, but it did get re-released by RKO Studios. And after seeing the film, an American viewer actually went and reported it to the FBI. They sent in a letter claiming that the film was pure communist propaganda.
Oh.
Apparently, her and her children saw the Mysterians, and she was so deeply disturbed that she just felt like she had to voice her concern to the FBI and the government.
I can't get that vibe from this film. Yeah.
Interesting.
How strange.
It's pretty crazy.
I do wonder if it's because, the Mysterians, they are like, we are in genuine need, we're going to die. Our race is going to die out if you don't do this. We really plead you to do this. But, there's nothing you can do to stop us, and if you do anything, we'll kill you and really all the other people on your planet.
Yeah.
There is that, I guess.
The implications as well of their plan, they're a little kind of heavy.
Yeah.
I know. Because it starts off as just, hey, give us some land. But what is it actually in the end? They actually want world domination, right?
Yeah, of course.
They want to mate with Earth's women to create, new to keep their species going. And there's something very kind of I don't know.
Not good.
I don't know if it's just like maybe it's a bit of a cultural and a timely thing, like maybe a bit of a disregard for like how a woman would actually feel about that. Like we don't really get that perspective about it in the film. But the implications of that are very dark.
Yeah, and we get the government kind of like thinking to maybe go along with it at the start, and again they don't. They're pretty firm and hey, we're not going to let them do this. But I guess people questioning it, and it is kind of they're kind of disregarded in some form, which is interesting to see from the time.
I
love how they're just like, don't worry, girls, we'll sort it out. Don't you worry about it.
Yeah, I know.
I wonder what is. I'm trying to imagine what it would be like going down that track, because then the Mysterians would be living on Earth. There'd be two like almost subhuman races.
Well, the idea is that they just take over, I guess, like over time, right?
Yeah.
Really, there's no good way it's going to end for Earth, which I guess leads into that communist. Yeah.
Their technology is pretty crazy. They have these giant Moguera mechs. They've got this giant egg base that can shoot things. They can communicate to people through television sets. They've got flying saucers.
That's right. We're totally forgetting that.
Yeah.
The one guy has the power to just talk through any television set at any time without prompting.
Yeah.
Best
power
power
call
ever.
upon him and it'll appear. Yeah.
The power of the TV egg.
Yeah. TV egg.
That's amazing. I literally the first thing I wrote down was how they alerted everyone about the fire, where there was just that fella in the tree smacking the bell, which was like a stick, and it was just kind of just going dong instead of like this air raid siren. It was just kind of like dong.
Yeah, totally.
There's a situation going on over here.
Dong.
One of my favourite moments was I think when Moguera is kind of doing his second attack on like the little town and they're all evacuating, and the scientist dude is like taking the lady out, and he goes, I think this is connected to what that scientist was researching, and she just goes, really?
Think so?
That seems coincidental.
There's that funny aspect to it that like this guy, the scientist, has been researching them this whole time, and they just slowly piece it together. Oh, maybe it is connected, maybe it's the same thing, but it's very obvious.
Yeah.
What does Atsumi, the main guy, say? He's like, I saw flying saucers a couple of days ago, but I didn't want to say anything because scientists need evidence.
Yeah.
It's very virtuous.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta respect him for it.
The only other thing I had noted was the Defense Force of Earth. I think that's what they called everyone coming together, all of Earth, uniting against these aliens.
Good name.
And them using the Markalite cannons. I think they had a very like scientific way to talk about why this would destroy the Moguera and be able to damage the Mysterians base and everything.
I didn't actually understand it at the end. What exactly happened with them? Because what happened was they created these giant, almost satellite dishes and seemed to reflect the almost laser beams that this egg was sending out back at them.
I think so.
Yeah, I think that's what it was doing.
Flip.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that worked.
It seemed like a bit of a flawed plan because the plan is going to like reflect the lasers back at them using these like satellites. And if I was the Mysterians, I would stop shooting at the satellites. That's what I would do. But I guess I didn't think to do that.
And again, I just love how that sent up the second Moguera who's tunneling below. And he doesn't even get destroyed by the cannon shooting at him. The cannon just literally falls down on him, and we see him for a couple seconds before it supposedly destroys him by crushing him.
Rip Moguera 2.
They have all this technology, and yet they got defeated by kind of a harebrained scheme.
And even the way they figure out how to reflect the beam, they just kind of off screen are like, we figured it out. Don't worry, it's all good. We know how to do it now. We didn't know how to do it before, but we know how to do it now, so it's fine.
Sorted.
I really loved Atsumi, the main character's outfit at the end. He kind of breaks into the base.
He has like a hat, doesn't he?
Fedora and jacket.
Yeah, I was noticing that. He's got like a little bit of like a... To me, he had like a bit of an Indiana Jones vibe, like before Indiana Jones.
Oh, for sure.
Like with his little fedora and stuff. Like
saving the woman going into the enemy's base.
There's so many times I thought, like, when he broke in initially and he saw like all the masks and capes and the helmets and capes and Mysterians, where I was like, oh, he's gonna put it on, pretend he's one of them. But now he just goes through the whole finale with his fedora, his jacket.
He finds a gun. He's pew-pewing.
He's ready.
If anybody wants to cosplay as Atsumi, send it to us. I'd love to see you in your fedora.
No one would recognize you, but we'll get it. We'll get it, guys.
No, yeah.
Do you want to have any closing thoughts on the movie?
There's something really quite charming about it, I suppose. Although it wasn't that really in depth, it was kind of just like this thing happens and then this thing happens movie, and that's just the way it's going to be. Yeah, it had charming elements in it, like stylistically.
Yeah, it's not one of those ones where, and this is the kind of thing with this.
You go in for it with the
this
plot.
Kind of genre in general, where like, you know, you shouldn't really go for it like nitpicking everything and like questioning decisions and characters and stuff, because it's all kind of secondary to the big spectacle action, and for what it is and for what they were capable of doing in that time period, I do think it is actually quite impressive. I like all of these kind of kaiju films. Like, I'm kind of fascinated with the ideas going on underneath the hood, and like what they were trying to go for and what was the inspiration going into it. Like with them wanting to do like more of a traditional sci-fi story with like aliens and that kind of stuff, and clearly like it has worked. If like the Mysterians are like kind of iconic in Japanese culture as like your go-to kind of like alien characters and stuff. Yeah, I was really impressed by like its sense of its ambition in terms of its scope, but it is also like schlocky fun, which is what you want from these films. Like ultimately, like
that's exactly what I got out of it. Like, it's campy, it looks great, it's colourful, it's got cool characters, great villains.
Yeah,
bit of action.
And it did feel like nostalgic for what I grew up on. So I really love that aspect of it. Did you want to? So we usually do give these movies a rating. And I guess if we do it a bit differently, we've kind of not been comparing them as so much to every other movie in the world, but kind of giving it we'd rate this out of the Godzilla movies or what we've seen so far. But did you want to start us off, Micah? Did you want to give us your rating?
How many big eggs would I rate this movie?
How many big eggs out of 5 big eggs?
I've been rating a lot of them in like the 3 to 4 space recently. So many of these Godzilla movies so far, especially when they get quite heavy into the topics and what they're talking about, they're not really the type of movies that I would, invite any friends around to watch with them. This one, I felt that a little bit more, just kind of because of the sheer absurdity of it. I wouldn't mind just being like, yo guys, you want to watch this old, like really old Japanese sci-fi movie? I did like it. I'd say, time for another one of Micah's weird ratings, 3.8 big eggs.
Wait, you're giving it a 3.8 out of 5?
Well, I've done a 3.75 already, haven't I? We'll go 3.75.
This rating's going to get convoluted.
3 3/4.
That's going to get messy if you start messing around with quarters of eggs.
Don't want to crack the eggs. 3.75.
So that you don't crack the egg. That's nice. I actually really, really liked it. I think so much so than a lot of other movies we've watched so far. Godzilla raids again, Half Human. They were all they were good, but I didn't have this much fun while watching them. So I think I probably would give this one 4 big eggs out of 5. Yeah, I just really liked it, and it does have its kind of flaws, but just for the time it was made in, by how well it was done, by just how much of a like classic campy sci-fi tale it is. Yeah, I dug it.
It's great. Adam, what do you think?
I was going to give it the solid double egg, but I think it's worthy of 3. I admired a lot of the visual aspects of this and the effort that went into it, and although I think it kind of knew what it was, and it's just kind of impressive for its time, and I had fun with it. I don't have much to compare it off, remember, so it's, but it was definitely, I enjoyed it more than the Godzilla film from 2014.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because at least this kind of like understood what it was and knew that it was kind of a bit silly. I'm not sure I kind of liked the very dramatic dramatization of it. This kind of was very respectful of its source material and tied down to it might be a bit too deep for it, but tied down to actually what they're trying to say with these kind of characters anyway. But yeah, no double egg, but 3 eggs.
Nice. I very much agree with you, because it is very different. Like, Japanese cinema it feels different, especially from this era, than the movies I guess we're used to.
Yeah.
So it is. I think we're starting to slowly get into that vibe of getting used to, I guess, the story, how they tell a story and how they show it, and the pacing might just be different to what we're used to. But no, I agree with you there. What did you think, Alex?
Yeah, I was surprised by how charming I found it. It is proper like sci-fi schlock camp extravaganza. Yeah, and for these like kaiju movies as well, because like I do think like the DP go into them like the kind of more tough they are to sit through personally. Yeah. I do think this is like a more noteworthy one, and I like just how kind of different it was, and like you could tell that they were trying to do something more experimental, more ambitious, more outside of their own subgenre. I'd give it a 3.5 eggs, big eggs.
Don't want to bump it up to 3 3/4.
I could. I mean, why not? I mean, just you can round it up. It's somewhere in that range. It's somewhere in that range. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. Like I was impressed by like how much fun it was, despite it being like in terms of like how I would traditionally approach a movie, like the kind of things that I would want from it. But for what it is, like it was super charming. Like really impressed by the sense of just ambition and scope with it. Like it really did kind of impress me visually, which I didn't expect at all.
Yeah. So, nice. Well, there you go. It's got Martin Scorsese's approval and ours as well. We're up there with them, guys. You two do an awesome podcast called The Final Draft, which is probably like my favorite podcast ever. So it's so cool to have you guys on. Did you just want to talk a little bit about it and I guess let everyone know where they can find more of you?
Yeah, for sure.
Go on, Alex. Do the plug.
If you liked any of our ramblings here, me and Adam do a podcast called The Final Draft. It's a film and TV podcast. Or entertainment in general. Why not? Yeah, we talk movies. We do a film club called Double Feature, and we do just random movies when we feel like it. We've had Jay on. We did Predestination with him, so I'd recommend you check that one out.
That was great, yeah.
But if you like to see it, check us out. We're on wherever you get your podcasts. It's a fun time. Apparently, people like it. Our boys in New Zealand love it. So
yeah, you know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, check them out, guys, and give them a review on iTunes as well as us. I mean, it's the best way for you to support podcasts like ours. If you wanted to just give us a rating, say something about us, it lets people find us. So we really, really appreciate that. Mm-hmm. And our next movie we're watching is Varan from 1958, another standalone kaiju flick. It's done by Ishiro Honda.
Another one, nice.
But it's going back to black and white, which will be interesting. I don't know why.
Oh, that's interesting.
Done a couple color and then back to black and white, but we'll see why that is.
Where's the best place to watch Foray if people want to see it before the next step?
I think it is on archive.org. I mean, that's where we watch Mysterians. I think it's the best place to find a lot of these. And Toho themselves have uploaded them, even though they're not on the best quality. So
good on you,
track
Toho.
them down there, or if you can find them anyway. Yeah, and again, I think the Varan movie gets very much mixed up with its English kind of re-edit. So we will be reviewing the Japanese version of Varan. But we'll see if we touch on the English one later down the track.
Nice. Thank you guys so much for being on here. It's been a blast having you here.
Thanks so much, guys. It's been a ton of fun.
Hopefully we can get you on
on
down the line for another proper Godzilla episode.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I want to hear more of your thoughts on the 2014 Godzilla, Adam. Might have to...
Hell yeah.
I want to do the 90s one.
Yeah, 90s one would be a ton.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
The 90s one. That's a masterpiece.
Absolutely. Agree.
Needs some proper education.
Thank you so much for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to Podzilla with your hosts, Jaysha and Micah Drake. Be sure to follow our socials, join our Discord, and check out Cassie Salim, who did our amazing podcast art. The links are all in our show notes. And just a disclaimer that any musical sound effects used in this episode belong entirely to the Toho company. See you in 2 weeks.